Browns and Texans, 1 o'clock in Houston, Mary Kay. The Texans on an 8-game winning streak coming into this game. The Browns on a 2-game winning streak. So a couple of teams, the Browns hot for themselves, the Texans just hot in general. This should be a good matchup. And let's start with that Texans pass rush. J.J. Watt, 11.5 sacks. Jadeveon Clowney, 7 sacks. Whitney Merciless, 3.5 sacks. This team can get after the quarterback, and they are relentless.
Yes, they really are. And, this is going to be such a stiff test for a Browns offense that has gone against 3 straight really inferior defenses. The last 3 games, they faced the 28th ranked defense, the 31st ranked defense, and against the Bengals, the 32nd ranked defense. They have not been tested like this. Greg Robinson, who has taken over at left tackle, has not been tested like this. So this is going to be a very big game for Baker Mayfield to get the ball out very quickly, for him to have his checkdowns ready to roll, and for those tackles, Chris Hubbard, Greg Robinson, to be on point.
And J.J. Watt looks like the old J.J. Watt after that injury last year. He is relentless, gets after the quarterback like he used to. He's still very good against the run, too. He can do a little bit of everything for that defense. And we didn't even mention Tyrann Mathieu at safety, who they signed this offseason. He's been playing well for them. Just listen to some of these numbers. Number 8 in overall yards per game, number 7 in rushing yards per game, number 12 in passing yards per game, number 5 in points per game. They're even top 10 in takeaways. This defense has been excellent.
They really, really have. And, we haven't even really mentioned Jadeveon Clowney and how he can get hot and really take over a game as well. And, you've got some things going on the Browns offensive line. J.C. Tretter kind of drags himself out there every Sunday on a bad ankle. We see him getting treatment after the game. So, he's really gutting it out there. You have to give him a lot of credit for that. But, they are just solid, strong across the board, and this is going to be a huge test for this offense.
Now on the other side of the football, Deshaun Watson, of course, a quarterback, back from that ACL injury, starting to play really well. He's getting beat up this year. Houston gives up a lot of sacks, but this is a guy that had to write a bus to a game because he was so hurt. But he's a gamer. He gets out there, and he can beat you, of course, we know, with the deep ball, but he's dangerous with his legs as well.
Well, and I think they will rely on the run a little bit more in this game with Lamar Miller, because the Browns have shown that they are somewhat vulnerable to the run. So, you have to take a little pressure off Deshaun Watson because he's coming off of that ACL. But with each and every week, I think you can see that he's gaining more and more confidence. Also, I think he might still have a little bit of a chip on his shoulder for the fact that the Browns passed on him in the draft.
Yeah, of course, the Browns had an opportunity to take him at number 12 last year. They decided to trade down with the Texans in that draft. Now, you mentioned Lamar Miller. He had a 97-yard touchdown run last week, one of 3 players over 300 yards rushing for the Texans this season. Alfred Blue there, Deshaun Watson there as well. Lamar Miller, over 700 rushing yards. And we've got to talk about Deandre Hopkins. This guy catches literally everything that's thrown anywhere around him. We've seen the highlight catches. Everybody remembers that one over Joe Hayden last year. He had one earlier this season that made the rounds. It didn't count upon review, but it was still a spectacular catch. This guy will catch everything that Deshaun Watson throws his way.
He really will. And, this is going to be a big game again for Denzel Ward to get out there and really try to minimize DeAndre Hopkins and also Demaryius Thomas, who they have added. So, just the passing game, the running game, the defense, a very, very complete Texans team.
So the Texans and the Browns, I'm going to say that the Texans win their 9th game in a row on Sunday. It will be a good game, but 27-21, Houston ends the Browns' mini winning streak and keeps theirs going.
When I watched the Saints have their 10-game winning streak snapped last night, I thought, wow, this could be foreshadowing. This could mean that the Browns will snap the Texans' 8-game winning streak. But then I put a cold compress on my forehead and I settled down for a minute, and I still think the Texans are going to win this game 24-20.
If the Browns do manage to pull this win off, though, that's when we start talking about that P-word, playoffs, maybe with this team, but they've got to go to Houston and prove it first. And, of course, we'll cover it all at cleveland.com/Browns.